wasn't planning to make this video now in the dead of night, but I saw this little TikTok video pop up. I'm going to display it over here. It's really just sitting on this text, and it inspired me to finally make this video about a subject that I feel strongly about. I've talked about it in many different ways, many different occasions, but never maybe as one coherent video. Let me read. You probably should be able to see it somewhere here, but let me read it. It says, remember, a good dungeon master isn't someone who has great voices, combats, roleplay scenarios, mysteries, or plots. It's someone who listens to their players' wants and needs and customizes the game to their interests, which can be voices, combat, roleplay scenarios, mysteries, and plots, etc. And I think their point of view mirrors what we see a lot of, particularly in 5th edition, in terms of what a GM's job is. It's also the reason why there's a GM shortage, why you see videos about the 5th edition DM problem. If we break this down a little bit, let's just read through what he's saying here. Okay, the GM is somebody who listens to their players' wants and needs and customizes the game to their interests. What is the first thing that pops out to me that we're missing? There's no talk in here about what the GM's wants and needs are. There's also no talk about what the responsibilities of the players are. What do the players bring in the situation? It reads very much like the GM is in service to the players, and that's fine. If you are a paid GM, then that's exactly what you are. You are in service to your clients, who are the players. I'm not a paid GM. I don't run my game to be in service to the players. If you were to invite people over to your house for a dinner party or any kind of gathering, what you try to do as the organizer of this event is you try to get the right people in the right place with the right ingredients to have a good time. And you hope that you get everything together, everybody meshes, and a good time is had. What you're not doing is trying to customize everybody's experience for the night. Maybe some folks do that if they have oodles of money and they can hire a staff of event coordinators. Maybe they do that. But for most of us, you do the best you can. You keep your fingers crossed that, hey, I got these people all coming together. They're all going to mesh. We're all going to have good food, good drink, good music, a good time. Take your best shot, and there you go. But that good time is as much for me as is for them, and everybody attending this event is bringing their own energy and their own wants and desires to have a good time. You come to a party because you want to have a good time, so you bring that energy. And hey, maybe you bring a bottle of wine, maybe you bring up something in a potluck sense. But in terms of how the community around D&D, particularly in 5th edition, sees this, the players don't do that. They show up like it's a restaurant, and I suppose with a menu, if we're even that sort of have that kind of self-knowledge, we list off these are our wants, our desires, and the GM writes it all down on a little paper and says, yes, sir, I'll be right back, and let me bring you this customized experience. If you want to do that for your players, listen, more power to you, but that's a lot of pressure. Now, we could talk about why maybe this appears in 5th edition and say not as much in other tabletop role-playing games. Some folks looked at it from the lens of the OSR and thinking, well, why don't we see this in the OSR when we see it in 5th edition? I think in 5th edition is because everything's been wrapped in this very experiential narrative game, that it's all about sort of this wish fulfillment with your characters and their story. And even though the game doesn't necessarily say that in the rules, there's nothing saying that this is what the GM's job is. I don't think you could look and point out in the player's handbook or the DM's guide where they say that we're supposed to listen to all our players' wants and needs and customize the experience around it. However, that's what the community has built up. And it's not just about players, it's about GMs too. Because when you look at the GM, if this is what we're doing, then we are really, maybe the same way that chefs feel a very heightened sense of their own worth. I mean, look at what we're doing. We are artistes back here behind the screen. Look at this experience that we're providing. If you've seen a lot of my stuff, a lot of the times I'm trying to get rid of all these responsibilities. But in the community, GMs are saying, no, this is me, bring it on. This is what I want. And players are also in that same mindset, which comes up with a lot of static. If you're not able to deliver this, then players are, hey, why am I not getting this customized experience that we've agreed, in a sense, that we've signed up for? but it leads to a lot of problems. Who wants to GM if this is the list of requirements? I mean, that's a big ask. That's a big order, and it can be thankless. From the other side, players may say, well, why is the GM so authoritarian about the game? But look at all the responsibilities they have. If this is how we're running it, players have only responsibilities just to bring their character sheet, bring themselves, and that's it. They're at the restaurant. They're just being served. Well, if you're being served the chef's sushi course, the omakatsu, or no, I forget what they call it, the omakase meal, at that point you have sort of given up your right to say it. Hey, we're doing the omakase that's been handpicked by the sushi chef. We've sort of given up our rights. We have put ourselves in the chef's hands. And if you put yourself in the GM's hands, you are, by giving up all those responsibilities, you're also giving up all that authority. If I have all the responsibilities to do all the stuff, that I'm going to feel the maximum amount of authority to make the game as I see fit. Players, if you want some of that authority, you need to take some of that responsibility. And statements like these give the players no responsibility at all. In some ways, it's infantilizing the players. They're simply coming to be waited on. And then should we be surprised if this is the relationship we're setting up, that GMs get mad if they don't feel like the players are grateful enough? I've heard this from GMs. Nothing's going on. My players say they're having fun, but they're not thanking me, or they're not sort of giving me my applause and cheers for GMing. Well, why do you feel that way? Because you have set yourself up as this person who is responsible for all the fun. So how do we change it? We have to change this relationship. I mean, it starts with in your game. If you're getting into a game, if you run a game, have another repeat session 0 and just lay it out there and say, listen, maybe we were playing in this style of I'm customizing everything, but players, I need you to bring stuff to the table. And guess what? When you start bringing stuff to the table, that means that you gain some authority over this game. That means that the more stuff you bring to the table, the less stuff I'm responsible for, the more it really is a team effort. I think often that comes off as kind of lip service. Oh, we want everybody to be equal. No player is bigger than another one. The GM's just another player. Well, that's not true if the GM's doing most of the work. If you're doing most of the work, you're going to feel like you get more say than someone that's doing none of the work. And we all know this to be true. Whatever we say, the GM's doing all this planning and all this stuff and customizing and everything. Of course, they're going to feel like they have more say over the game. And they should. They're putting in 90% of the work. But you start putting in 50% of the work, then you can legitimately say that you should have 50% of the authority about the game. So changing this mindset will really help a lot of people out. But we have to get through this. We have to stop promoting the GM as this auteur, as this chef, as this person who is taking care of the experience. I don't want to be this kind of GM. I don't want to be the cruise director, Julie, who's just there to kind of help these players sightsee themselves and be at their service. I don't want it. Do you want it? Because I think a lot of you don't. So what can we do about it is we need to demystify things and get back to something that I think in other systems, such as the OSR, they've gotten to, which is reining back the GM to be more that referee role and not the cruise director, not the person who's the guide and the therapist and the organizer and the chef. Just another player with some asymmetrical roles, but just a player. And we do that, we bring everybody together and we reset that playing field. Maybe we can fix some of the issues with GMs, the lack thereof, and the disparity in responsibilities and authority. That's my take. What have you got? Let me know in the comments or wherever. Other than that, game on, and I'll talk to you later.